So, my name's Billy Watson, and I'm working on behalf of the Comedy Chords website, and I'm interviewing Tom Stade, who's quite a well-known established comedian who's just about to go on a new tour. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing pretty good, Bill.
That's good.
I'm pretty good. I'm trying to get all sorted for this new tour that you're talking about, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going out and trying to see some things and just sort of get it all together and all that sort of stuff.
I was under the impression it was a kind of continuation from your Edinburgh show.
Well, it is, Bill, but I'm never happy with anything.
I'm
never, ever happy with anything, man. So I'm always even because I've been able to bring the show, to bring certain jokes into clubs and actually work them out so they're like a club set, you know what I mean, which is always funnier than an Edinburgh set.
All right, and why would you say that?
Because if you know anything about Edinburgh, it's people piecing together a show like within 2 months. You know what I mean? So, you know a little bit about it, right, Bill?
I performed a one-man show at Edinburgh 4 times.
Oh, you're on it then. You know exactly what I'm talking about then, all right?
Basically, I can't perform here in Turkey, so I basically end up going to Edinburgh and kind of writing it.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying then. Yeah. Okay, we've got 2 months to get this show in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you get it in shape, and it's a good show. It's what I call a Edinburgh show.
So how do you get it into shape in those 2 months? What's the process for that?
Yeah, no worries. But to me, so you do the Edinburgh show, and it all goes great, and you learn as you go along. Of course, when you're doing an hour every night, you know what I mean. You can play with it if you're not too worried about reviews and all that sort of stuff. Right? And then after the Edinburgh's over, then all of a sudden, the reason I didn't go on tour right after Edinburgh, like a lot of people go, okay, we're in Edinburgh. We're going to go right on tour after we're done with this show. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's ever, this is just my opinion too, Bill. Okay, This is only mine. I don't think it's ever super ready. You know what I mean? Until those jokes can go to people that don't know who you are and you're performing them in front of non-fans and they're getting big laughs. Then all of a sudden, when you do bring them to your fans, they're way more impressed. You know what I mean? Especially in Edinburgh, where you can get fooled because they want you to do good. And if you're a half-decent comedian, they are all good jokes. But they can all, like I say, they can always be better. And the one way I like to make them better is by going and doing, having 1 or 2 pieces and working on those for the 20 minutes you're on at a glee club or some a comedy club above a bar somewhere.
So you knock them into shape. I mean, I saw you in Edinburgh this year. You were doing a small set at the Stand quite late at night, and you looked quite drunk.
Me? I always look drunk, Bill.
I don't know if that's an act, but it was.
It's my curse, Bill. Whether I am or whether I'm not, no one can really tell.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing and a curse all in the same way. You know what I mean?
Right.
From when I was from 18 years old, and it's a little bit of it's my fault, is because when you're 18, you're living that lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But by about 42, you can't really live the lifestyle anymore. You got to kind of move on. But the draw, my voice just has it in me. You know what I mean? So
you're not putting that on. That is the kind of the way you speak normally, then.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah, man. This is it. Sometimes when I get on stage, some people say I sound like I'm Southern. Like from the Southern United States, but I always call it's sort of like my I don't know what it is. It's just the voice seemed to have stuck, man.
So
everybody's got an accent, eh, Billy?
Yeah, I know. What was I going to say? Who's the guy? Dylan Moran. He started off like that as well, drinking wine and kind of. I think he was quite drunk, and he's kind of kept that in him. So it's not like a persona for you. Then it's just that's how you talk. But do you ever play up in it a wee bit in a drunken club to kind of just?
Well, yeah, of course you can, man. Because I think Yeah, no doubt I do. Sometimes when it gets rowdy, because you got to kind of assimilate to the crowd that you're playing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I guess you know what you raised a good question, Bill. I mean, I guess it is handy to have if it does come to that. You know what I mean. If it does come to the fact that I'm in a drunken, rowdy crowd, yeah,
Yeah,
I can switch it on where most people probably couldn't. You
yeah.
know, I guess that's another weapon in my comedy armory that I
Yeah.
have.
So going back to the writing, then you do take it quite seriously. Then I mean, what makes you think when you've got a joke right? I mean, surely you tell a joke, you get a laugh. What makes you think it's better? Do you work on it? Do you sit down and script it, or do you just think of it and then try something
Well,
new and improvise on stage, or what?
Bill, most of the time I'll bring it to I try to reach. Oh, this is gonna sound so stupid, but whatever. I try to reach into myself and find what's next in any statement. You know what I mean? Like even if the joke does get a big laugh, I'll have videotaped it. I'll have brought it back home. I'll look at it from an audience point of view, and I'll sit there and go, well, where should I have gone with that joke? What would I have liked to have seen if I was the audience? Like, did I stop it too quickly? Because there's always more to be said on something. Most I can't speak for any comedians, man, but most comics I see, they are very satisfied with it, and they should be. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm always going like, if I can get a piece that started out at 5 minutes up to like 20 or 30 minutes, that's when I really love what I'm doing, Bill. That's exactly what I love. Like when a piece starts out to me, it's usually maybe a 2 minute bit. By the end of it, I've got it up to 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. And every line is well thought out and crafted basically for that piece.
Yeah, totally, totally. Like they're and plus you always to me it's always you always have to within that joke too, you always have to have room for movement. You know what I mean? You don't want it you want a joke to be able to be there, you can leave it and come back where you left off on it. And you can't really do that if you've only got a 2 minute piece. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I was watching some of your videos on YouTube today, and I noticed like you would do a piece, and then there'd be a subtle one line that would kind of take it into some other direction, and then you would just kind of go on a complete tangent, but still somehow be related to the initial part. And then you get another like couple of minutes. I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, there's a bunch of them. Once you get into I only really talk about things like they always say, talk about things you kind of know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I've never been, I've always stuck to like my surroundings, I guess. You know what
cool.
I mean? Like when you look at a guy like Doug Stanhopes and all those guys, their surroundings are just crazy, wild ass stuff. You know what I mean? Like if you know those guys, they're always
Yeah.
grabbing a camera and finding some pedophile that touched them like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That's their surroundings. That's what they talk about, and because I'm pretty much a kind of a party family guy. Would that be
Well,
the
I
best
was
way to
going to say
describe
that.
it, Billy?
I was
Do you
going to say
know?
that you've got this kind of your act itself kind of lends itself to like a Doug Stanhope. Your persona. It's kind of that rock and roll kind of wild man and that drunken slur I was talking about. But then the things you talk about are actually like Primark and Argos and being married. It's like a little bit of a discord there, but it kind of works for you.
Well, maybe me and Doug started off on the same path, but I ended up,
Yeah.
whereas he had an abortion, I ended up keeping my kids.
All right. Yeah. Well.
Sorry, Doug, if you're hearing this, I don't mean to, whatever.
Uh-huh. I mean,
So yeah, I just, I live the lifestyle that I really like families and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not a judge of anything, Bill. Do you know what I mean? But personally, I like the family life, and I like all the little mundane things that make up life. Do you know what I mean? Because not most people can't live that wild, crazy lifestyle without dying. Do you know what I mean? So most people are stuck in the drumming. I think it's the depth and the shallowness that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that sounded actually kind of smart, Billy.
It's early yet as well.
Yeah, man. The depth of the shallow. Right here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you're saying about being a happy family man there, some of your material is about, I've been married 16 years and I hate it kind of thing, which even though you're saying you hate it, you kind of know that you like it, but you're expressing that feeling that people have when they've been married for 16 years, It's kind of...
Well, here's the thing. When a lot of people think that, well, not a lot of people, what they know is that I could sit there and tell you all the good things. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could tell you about us holding hands and talking about the future, walking on a seawall in some country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that stuff isn't the stuff that's funny.
Of course not. That
stuff isn't the stuff that makes people feel that they're normal. Do you know what I mean? When you talk about the shit times, the times that you have to get through, and there are shit times, Bill. You know this probably from the brief conversation I had with you before.
Yeah, you don't know that. Yeah,
there are the shit times that you try and make it through. Some people make it through, other people don't. But it's those shit times that you're talking about that I think when somebody's hearing it, not only are they laughing, but it's also making them feel normal. Because most of the times when you're in a heated love debate or whatever the hell you want to call it, you feel like you're the only one in that debate and that no one else is going through it. You know what I mean? And then so when you come to a show and you hear that kind of stuff, all of a sudden you start laughing to yourself, thinking, "Oh God, thank God I'm not the only person." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. That's my way of thinking, anyways, right or wrong. That's what I love in things. Like whenever you watched Richard Pryor or something, I always got that he lent his lifestyle out to make sure that everybody knows that this is, it's not perfect all the time, man. Because when you think you're having the shittiest time and everybody else is doing great, they're not. They're totally not. They have good days and they have bad days. And I think it's the bad days that people like to hear about over the good days.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with that because, it's that laughter of recognition and the feeling that you're not alone in the world and somebody else expresses what you're going through. And that, to me, is what comedy is really the purpose of it,
Well, that's why I'm not, like, I could pretty much do any kind of, like they always say, what kind of comedy? And now I don't ever rule out any comedy style, right? I mean, there's politically based comedy, there's surreal, there's all that sort of stuff. But I tend to stick in that one because that's the one that also makes me feel comfortable, and it seems to be timeless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get bogged down and complaining about Obama or whatever, but then you can't go back to that material if he's out of office. But if you're just talking about your life, like the meat van, you talked about that thing about the meat van. You know that one?
Oh God, yeah, that's the one that I can't. Oh my God. What? Now and then, every now and then, you stumble on something. Sorry, Bill. Sorry. I'm going my last year.
You're just eating some. You're just eating some faggots there, yes.
It's really funny. I'm on a 5-2 diet right now because I'm getting old and fat. I don't want to get fat, so I got to do this diet. What were we just talking about? Sorry, Bill.
I was listening to the timeless material, and I was listening to the meat van story, and it took me right back to when I was like 10 years old in Ingliston Market with my parents, and there was that guy in the meat van selling the chops.
What really blew my mind is that no one had ever talked about it before.
Yeah. And
it's one of those jokes that I would have never expected to be as big as it became. It's like it was like a one-hit wonder hit song.
All right.
Which is cool, but also dangerous at the same time. So like it's one of those things that people want to hear it all the time wherever you go, right. And which is nice,
yeah.
Which is super nice, but it also leads you into a trap that you don't move on, And I've been in this situation a few times before, and I like you know what? I'm proud that I wrote a joke that became that popular. You know, and I mean, Billy, it is popular, man.
Yeah, I didn't know. I
Like
just watched it, and basically hearing it was just like awesome. Just the way you could take that and that simple thing.
it's a joke that put you on the map here in the UK. Like it was such a and it got people to notice you. But the thing is, like I say, a lot of people would stay. Just keep doing that joke. Shit, I could probably do that joke for the next 10 years and make a living out of it. But I'm glad it was there. But I am. The funny part is that things like that come around and then you just build on them. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, people start liking you. They go, "Oh, he knows about us. He's at least noticing," and then they give you a chance to move on and all that stuff. So like. I'll do a show like every now and then. I'll do a greatest hits show.
All right.
Just for people.
Uh-huh.
I feel like the fans that weren't there in the beginning, you gotta. It's sort of like the slow kids in class.
Yeah, get them up to
You got
speed.
just a couple steps to bring them ahead and forward.
That's good. Yeah. So let me think. So basically, you were brought up in Canada, yeah, small town in Canada.
Yeah, totally. Quinnell, British Columbia.
And basically,
Probably
quite a small town.
Favoriteest towns in the world, and I miss it very much most of the time.
All right. Do you still have family there? Do you go back often?
No one's there except for probably old friends and memories, man. And it's one of those places. Like if you have South Park,
Mm-hmm.
it is the real South Park. It is proper the real South Park for sure, man. And I mean, you're dealing with a mountain town where I've always said this. This is the funniest line, and I use it. It's like in my repertoire, Billy, to try when people ask me to describe Quinnell, British Columbia. Quinnell, British Columbia is a place where you don't lose your girlfriend, you just lose your turn.
Yeah, I heard that one. I thought it was brilliant. That was a good line.
That is that's private, man. And it was wild. It was crazy. People died. People lived. You know, it was. I'm just glad I was a survivor and got out of it, man. It was. You know that Batman movie where they're all in the pit and they got to climb out. The last one.
I've never seen them, but anyway.
Batman ends. That should have been the whole Bat thing. Come to think of it, Batman Begins, Batman Middles, and Batman Ends. And yeah, Quinnell would be like that pit that you had to get out. And if you got out of it, you probably did really well in life. But I haven't talked to my old friends to find out how I'm doing.
You're kind of battle scarred, kind of toughened you up,
Yeah, completely, man, completely.
So how? I mean, you started doing comedy when you were still at school, is that right? Kind of towards the end of your school years, started telling jokes, and was there a comedy scene there, or how did you kind of start on the path that you became on?
This one's also a legendary one. Do you know a man named Craig Campbell?
I do, yeah.
Well, Craig, believe it or not, when I was tree planting, that's right, I was helping the environment. When I was tree planting, I was 17 years old, and I went to a comedy club, and lo and behold, Craig Campbell was playing there. And he pretty much died on his ass, man. But the guy who did good, it really showed the difference. Like the guy that did good was a guitar act singing Bob Dylan, and pretending Bob Dylan singing "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window." And Craig opened for him, and they didn't like him, and they weren't going to pay him. But I thought he was so funny, Billy. I thought this just shows you how subjective humor is, man. I thought he was so funny, and he was just a young kid back then, eh? And so then I went to Vancouver after tree planting, and
So
and
that
I
was just your,
went
was that just your,
into.
sorry, was that just your introduction? You seen him and then you left it at that, just thinking that was good, or did you not get involved there at all?
Well, I talked to him quite a bit after the show and all that stuff, man. Because I
Uh-huh.
mean, I was there. I was there with all the people that were gonna probably kick the shit out of him.
Okay.
They didn't like him, you know, because they were all just old tree planter guys that just wanted to hear musical acts. But I was like 17, hanging out with all these 30-year-olds. I shouldn't have even been in that bar, Billy. But
Uh-huh.
but because you're with all these men, you're let in, you know.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so yeah, we ended up talking for the longest time, and at that time I also wanted to be a bit of an actor, you know. I was in a lot of dinner theaters and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and then so anyways, just I don't want to bring it through the whole
Yeah.
story, man. Let's Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction this or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was just wondering, if you'd done anything in Canada. So then you moved to Vancouver.
There, man. Let's go fast forward, okay?
Uh-huh.
So then I Vancouver about a year and a bit later, and I go to a club called Punchlines, and there's Craig there again.
Ah.
I believe that I've seen him twice now,
Uh-huh.
and so I end up telling him that I went for these auditions and they were okay and all that, and he said, well, why don't you come and do 5 minutes on an amateur night? And he goes, you can make some money if you get any good at this. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then next thing you know, he gets me an amateur spot for 5 minutes, and then I haven't looked back since, you
Hmm.
know. And he's a good friend. He's a really, really good friend. I mean, even to this day, I can say he's always saying nice things about me. So he's a good guy.
That's cool. I've never actually spoke to Craig, but I've talked to people who know him, and they've always got, I mean, they're full of praise for him. I think he's pretty an amazing person. Yeah.
Yeah, he is an amazing person. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, let's fucking stop the Craig Campbell rah rah.
okay.
That's not gonna happen, man. Even though I love the man. Oh my god. Hey, get your own in, Craig.
Okay. So, so what was your material like when you first started? Then was it similar stuff, or what did you do back then? Can you remember?
It was horrible, Billy.
Was that?
Horrible material. It was. I talked about farts
Yeah.
and the douche. I had jokes line. I had punchlines that sang, "Don't say that, Dad."
Right. Okay.
Like just because you don't know what you're doing in the beginning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're just like somebody's giving you a canvas and a bunch of paints, but you've never painted before. You know, so you start out with finger painting.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask Picasso his first paintings, you know, they were probably total shit. But you got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. Yeah. And then you have one good one, you think you've got it, then the next three you're totally shit again. It's like fuck.
Never, never get it, Bill. You never get it. Even this is what I'm saying. I don't even think even to this day I've got it.
Well.
You know, but I'm better. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? I'm better, but I mean, to this day, I still think you never want to say that you have it. You know,
Uh-huh. So.
so I mean, because if you ask me what kind of comic I'm going to be in the next 10 years, I'll bet you I'll be even better than I am right now.
Because you're taking that learning process seriously.
Yes, all the time, Bill. All the time, man.
Yeah, I mean that's. I talked to Justin Moorhouse the other day, and that's the impression I got as well. Basically he does a gig, looks at it, analyzes it, and then goes back. And he said you don't get any good by, just taking it lightly. It's got to become seriously dedicated to being the best you can.
Totally. Never be satisfied, Bill.
Uh-huh. Yep. So then you came to the UK. What brought you here to Wolverhampton of all places?
What brought me to Wolverhampton? Oh, God. Well, we decided we wanted up stakes, and once again, Craig Campbell. Here you
Thought
go,
you weren't
Craig.
mentioning him again.
Again, Craig was over here, and he said he came to we were living in a cabin in Ontario, and he told us that we should get our butts over to England,
Okay.
and that they would really enjoy. They would really enjoy my humor. And that's when I realized that my wife was my gal who I married in Vegas and loved very much. She said, "Hi, Trude." Okay, she's going dog walking. She turns out she was English.
You never knew that.
Who knew, man?
Okay.
Her parents were, anyways. I always wondered why her mom talked funny in Canada. And she said, "Well, Tom, I got a British passport. If you want to go and check it out, we can go and check it out." And so we did, and we got over here, and we did a audition for jongleurs at the time. This is going a little while back. We did a jongleurs. And then the next thing you know, they booked us for like 6 months worth of work, and that was unheard of in Canada. To have 6 months worth of work was a ridiculous thing. Like, you maybe had a month and a half what you knew you were doing, and after that month and a half, you didn't know if you were going to keep going or not.
Yeah.
So to see 6 months worth of work was pretty incredible, man.
Yeah.
And plus it was also English pounds, which just, at that time destroyed the Canadian dollar. So you're sitting there, you're looking at it, you're going, well, let's pick up and just go over there, and we'd come back and forth for a little while. We came back and forth for a little while until something actually stuck, and then we decided to stay here.
That's good.
And then we ended up in Wolverhampton, of all places.
Yeah.
Because even though the pound is stronger than the Canadian dollar, it's all pretty relevant where you live.
Yeah.
Turns out 200 pounds is the same as 200 pounds. 200 in Canada.
Yeah.
200 pounds is the same over here.
It just keeps you above the breadline.
So, yeah, man. So we decided we were gonna go. We were living in London. We were staying in London, and it just got too expensive, man, for one person working and one person raising 2 kids, so it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
And then we decided, okay, well, most of the gigs are around the country anyways. You don't really have to be in London, so we decided we were going to go to the middle of the country, which we thought Birmingham would be a cool place. And then all of a sudden, we took this little tram, and the biggest house we ever saw, like 3 bedrooms, 2 lounges, massive kitchen, huge backyard, was only 400 pounds a month, man. And so we decided that's where we're going to stay. And little did we know, we were moving into the ghetto.
There's a reason why it was so cheap.
Yeah, totally. But you know what was really cool is because we'd done a couple of TV shows, we were celebrities in the ghetto. So nobody like all the crap stuff that goes on there. I mean, we saw it. I mean, you can't not see it, but it never really affected us because everybody was our friend and all that, because Canadians live in Billston. There's a lot of different nationalities living in Billston, but I'm pretty sure we were the only Canadians.
Yeah, so you're not top of the hit list.
So we had the unique factor.
That's good. And then you came up to Scotland, and basically I read somewhere that you got a flat for a 6-month rental agreement because the only flat you could get in Edinburgh for the festival or something. Yeah.
Well, no, we were gonna just come up for the month, but the flat that we'd spend $4,000 on, because reasonable prices during the festival.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
The flat. You know that as well as I do, that, Bill. Are you still there, Billy?
Yeah, it's breaking up a wee bit, but not too bad. So you had a 4 month you paid for. Did you pay for 6 months then rental?
Well, paid for 1 month, but in 2 weeks before the festival was going to happen, the woman pulled out, and so the only place we could get on short notice was a 6-month lease. So then we decided to. We said, well, okay, well that's a perfect. That's like the universe telling us to get out of Wolverhampton. You know what I mean? So we decided, okay, for that same amount of money, we could, with a little bit more, we could live here for 6 months, and we'll just switch up and all that sort of stuff. So that's exactly what we did. We just decided, forget it. We'll move to Edinburgh. Time for a change, anyways.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're not ones to stay in a town very long, anyways, because believe it or not, when me and Trude started out, we said we never wanted to settle down, but unfortunately, we were young and stupid and didn't realize that when kids get older, they gain friends, and it's hard for us to move them from their friends.
That's true.
So waiting for them to 18 so we can boot them out of the house and start traveling again.
Uh-huh. I mean, Wolverhampton, you just said there's lots of comedy clubs from there, but from Scotland, there's not that much of a scene really to keep you engaged. But I suppose you're a kind of bigger act now, so you do these big tours. Is that how it works?
Well, once you're established in the comedy community, you can live anywhere, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
Once you play all the clubs, right? Once you play the Comedy Store, the Glee clubs, the Jongleurs, the Stand, the Hyenas, all these places, it doesn't really matter where you live, because like going back to the thing about everything's booked 6 months in advance.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I know where I'm going to be in June. So I can book a train ticket to London for like £20, man.
Uh-huh.
Like less than a cab ride it would cost for me to get home from London to where I'm staying in London.
Yeah.
So it's all about, you're right. If you're starting out, you're dead right on one thing, Bill. If you're starting out in Scotland, it's a good place to start out for a little bit, because one, you can practice your craft without having to be seen. But if you're actually thinking about making a living by living up here, just starting out, it isn't going to happen, man.
Yeah.
You have to go to London so you can go and play all these different clubs, because London seems to be the center hub. So London will send you to Scotland. London will send you to Cardiff. London will send you to Manchester, but where Scotland, you're right. Scotland will send you to other places in Scotland, which are maybe 7.
Yeah.
7 places.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. So do you enjoy living in Scotland? You said your kids are kind of keeping you there now, but the weather's pretty hellish, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I know, but...
man. No, Scotland's cool, man. Like Edinburgh's cool. A lot of people like Glasgow. I don't mind Glasgow. I think Glasgow's I like party town.
Yeah.
Glasgow is total party town, whereas Edinburgh's, it's kind of more chilled over here. Do you know what I mean? It's not that same. It doesn't have that same vibe, which is really good, because it's only like a 45-minute drive away to party town. Yeah. And then when you need to chill out, you can come back to Edinburgh and all that, man. And Edinburgh, it's like this big little city. You know what I mean? It's got everything you need here, but you don't have to, go an hour into the city to try and find a place you've never heard of.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's really, during the festival, Edinburgh's really amazing as well. Just what happens there, just to be, to have that on your doorstep would be quite good for you as well, I would imagine.
Oh, totally, man. I mean, now that the festivals are here, I just have to walk out my front door for a month, which is fantastic, man. Which is absolutely fantastic. But it's like I think we're gonna be here for a little while longer. We're gonna find out, like, as soon as my son graduates and all that stuff, then the little girl might want to move. But we don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
But it's going to be definitely one of those places when I look back on it that I had a really good time in. There's no doubt about it.
And you've progressed as a comedian. How long have you been there in Edinburgh?
It's about 4 or 5 years now, maybe.
And
I don't even keep track of this shit anymore, man. I'm trying to get rid of time, Billy. But I've been reading all my spirit books. I'm supposed to be timeless.
Yeah. Live in the moment. Age and all that's just a number.
But
so you're going to do a new tour. My friend.
What did you just say there?
I said age is just a number.
Oh yeah, totally.
So don't worry about it.
They always say that. They always say that, Billy. If you didn't if you didn't have a watch or a calendar, would you even know how old you are?
That's true, yeah.
How old you are, so you wouldn't, you wouldn't sit there and feel like you have to act a different way because of whatever the number is behind you. So
Yep.
I'm trying to get though.
But at the same time, your body catches up on you and you can't drink like you did when you were 20, so.
There's some tribes that are 100 years old that are still riding horseback, man.
All right.
They don't have a watch, man.
Yeah.
And they don't even, these 100-year-old guys don't seem to think that they're 100 years old, man.
Yeah.
So I think it's processed food, Bill. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. That's part of the reason why I moved to Turkey. Well, it's not really part of the reason, but it's one of the good things about being here. There's so much fresh fruit and vegetables that taste like they're supposed to, And
Oh yeah. Oh God, man. I know what you're saying. I totally know
Tesco's
what you're saying.
fruit and it's just like plastic most of the time,
We're just lucky to get whatever the last little bit of nutrients are still in there from the boat ride over.
Just barely keeps you going.
Totally, man. Right on, Bill. That's good to know about you, Billy. That's cool, man.
So,
okay.
So, I mean, have you got much more time? Sorry, you're breaking up a bit there.
Bill, do we have any more questions? You want to talk about anything else?
I don't know. It's up to you. Have you got any time?
No, I'm cool, Bill, because I also got to get going here in a little bit, man. So
okay, let me see. I've just you've done a tour with Ro Campbell.
Yeah, Ro.
He's a friend of mine, yeah.
Ro's awesome, man.
So
Ro's one of the most chaotic men I know, man.
Yeah.
Like he's just, oh yeah, man. The guy's super funny, and he's a real riot to be around, man. And he was on my first tour with me.
Yeah, I know that. Basically, I was wondering if you had any stories you could dish on him.
Huh?
I knew he was on that tour with you. I was wondering if you had a story or two you could dish the dirt on him about.
I'm gonna say this. It was, a lot of people say, a lot of people go what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right, okay.
What's on the road stays on the road.
Yeah.
But that's what happened with me and Ro. With me and Ro, it was more of like, if you were Woodstock, you weren't there.
Right, okay, yeah. You've got a gentleman's agreement to keep it under wraps, yeah? And you can't remember it anyway, so.
Well, I would love to tell you a story, Billy, but I really can't remember them.
All right, okay. Sounds like a good tour. And this next tour is not going to be as hectic, no?
How much of a good time it is. That is your measure of a good time, is when you really can't remember what you did. Yeah. That's how much fun you were having, man. You were right there in the now, man. But I'll tell you who could tell you. Ro will be able to tell you for sure, man. So we got to get him on an interview, Bill.
Okay, I'll do that. So, thanks very much for your time, mate, and all the best with the tour.
Hey, Billy, when you come into the UK, we'll hook up for a beer, okay?
That sounds good to me. I'm trying to get to Edinburgh this year, so if I do manage to do that in August, I'll basically get together with you and Ro, and we'll have a wee chat, and you can see if you can remember some stories from that tour.
Yeah, if he prompts me, I'll remember them, man.
Yeah, okay, he'll set them up, you knock them down.
Okay, hey, listen, Billy, take care of yourself, brother.
Same to you, take care, all the best, bye-bye.
That was awesome.
There you go, folks. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed chatting to Tom. He's a very interesting, unique person, I think. And check out his website, tomstade.co.uk. You'll be able to get all the dates for his tour, which is starting very shortly and going on through February and March. And check out the Comedy Chords website, comedychords.com, for loads more interviews and music reviews. And if you want to check out my stuff, my site is billywatson.tv. Again, thanks for listening, and cheers the now. Bye-bye.